Reporting to the media this week at Post Executive Council media briefing are the Secretary of Finance and Enterprise Development, Assemblyman Joel Jack, and the Assistant Secretary in the Division of Agriculture, Marine Affairs, Marketing and the Environment, Assemblyman Hayden Spencer.
I just want to bring you up to date with a few little issues that has been taking place in the department. The first, I want to touch the Castara and Charlottesville fishing facility. That work has commenced on both facilities. We are looking at a completion date, the middle of November 2014. Also, the issue at Lambo as it relates to the DIPU project that is taking place where the fishermen are being relocated at that point. I want to say so far the department has taken up the challenge and has worked feverishly over the weekend into early Monday morning. The fisher folks are now relocated at the outside of the Lambo fishing facility where fish is being sold underneath the tent as a temporary measure. And that measure will be for a period of 1 week, where at the end of that week, the fisher folks will be operating inside the fishing facility. However, there are a few little hang-ups here and there, loose ends to tie, but so far, everything seems to be going okay. I am very pleased to announce that, and let me take this opportunity to apologize to the public, also the fisher folks, on whatever short inconveniences that they may incur, because the DIPU project there is estimated to last for 4 weeks. So within that 4 weeks, we know there will be a little discomfort, and we are asking you to be patient, and we also apologize for that situation. Bearing in mind that I must appeal to the public at this time that these facilities were put in place to ensure that the fish that is being sold to the public is of a good quality, healthy standard, and fully sanitized according to the HACCP standard. And therefore, it is in that area the department also would have embarked on a seafood safety and quality control analysis program to teach members of the public and also the fisher folks on the actual hygiene of purchasing fish and using fish as a product of meat. Some of the areas of trading will be in the areas of the identification of chemical, physical, and biological seafood hazards, seafood safety and quality control. We are targeting the Fisher Folks Association, the fish vendors, the processors, and interested members of the public for these courses. These courses will be at different locations throughout the island, botanical gardens at the conference room, the Barbados Bay Study Park fishing facility, the Bell Garden fishing facility, and the Mount Irving fishing facilities. These courses are due to start very soon. The date will be announced publicly as to the commencement of these courses. I also want to take this opportunity to deal with an issue concerning the sawmills and at the site at Dog River. I have been informed by members of the environmental area of the Department of Agriculture, Marine Affairs, Marketing, and the Environment that the operation there that took place, which the public is aware of now, that it is a legal transaction, that all the necessary requirements were completed at the Division of Environment. They conducted an inspection on the site, and the permit was granted for them to remove the lumber. The officers are required to conduct site visit during the removal process. I also want to inform the public that based on our information at the department, that these privately owned lands, the owners were given permission by the department to do the logging. However, the department will be taking another step as to the rehabilitation of the site by donating trees to these private owners so that they can reforest that area. I also want to appeal to the public. I first want to thank members of the public, members of the media, for reporting such an issue. And it is good indeed that we as Tobagonians can have an interest in the welfare of our environment. And I just want to announce to the public that there is a procedure that has to be followed in the whole logging process. You make a report to the Division of Environment requesting permission to remove logs. A conduct and inspection of the site and logs will take place by the necessary officers in the division. In addition to that, they will calculate your information and make sure that your information is true and correct before issuing you that permit to remove the logs. So in the case of the situation at Dog River, all this was done, and it was legally done at the Department of the Environment, and therefore we should see in the near future that these things shed a different light. So I want to thank the public again, and I'm encouraging you that illegal logging is totally against the law, and members of the public, we are thankful for you to report these matters to the division so that immediate action can be taken, and those who are found breaking the law will be prosecuted.
Just want to update the Tobago public that we've just 2 months, a month and a half shy past the midterm, and I am proud to say that with respect to the management of the assembly resources, that we have done well so far. I think everyone will recall, and most of the public, that they are quite aware of the perennial shortfall in funding that is experienced by the assembly over the years, and especially as it relates to the development program. And the development program is important to advance Tobago's development, especially as it relates to infrastructure. You may recall, following the budget in June 2013, that the Tobago House of Assembly in the month of September tabled in the House its prescriptions to treat with the shortfall of funding, and we have made the necessary adjustments and curtail spending where necessary, reprioritize. And what we have seen thus far is a rollout of a number of important projects across Tobago. We have seen an increase in the paving program. We have seen the completion and advancement of a number of projects. We have seen the commissioning of the Calder Hall Micro Center. Also, the Sigland Hill Micro Center will be opened within the next 2 months. And a number of other important projects and programs by various divisions of the Assembly. However, while we are proud to announce that we have made several adjustments, that the Assembly has curtailed expenditure and outlined our prescriptions, what the constraints of lack of funds, what that has done is constrain the rollout of a number of important projects. We might all be well aware of the news, the announcement in September that Cove was designated a free zone area. But in the absence of funding for Cove, we are unable really to put in the necessary mechanisms to facilitate that. Additionally, we are all aware of the challenge with respect to housing. And at the moment, previously the Assembly did most of our housing programs via cash. Also the Roxborough Administrative Complex, the Scarborough RSC School, and the port development at Cove, and a number of other projects. Those projects were put on hold because of the lack of funding. And while we manage and while we curtail and we cut and contrive, the Assembly going forward in the upcoming budget will outline a number of ways to treat with this perennial shortfall issue. In the month of May, and the budget will be read in June. I'll come back, return sometime to the post-executive media briefing to announce the date. However, just to remind persons of the process, the budget is a collaborative effort, led, of course, by the Secretary of Finance, but we have the input of all the divisions, and we're working feverishly to complete the estimates and to submit the budget on time. A unique approach that was undertaken this year by the division was to undertake a Tobago budget survey, because we want to gauge the views of all Tobagonians to find out really if they understand what the budget is all about, the budget process, and if following the budget presentation that persons really are aware as to some of the issues within the budget. The survey should have been completed yesterday, May 13th, and it ran for a period of May 2nd to May 13th. This is also part of the budget consultation process as we seek to engage the public and to serve the public in a more meaningful way. In addition to the budget survey that was undertaken and should have been completed yesterday, the division, we are continuing to meet with our stakeholders to hear their views and to receive their inputs. Within the next 4 weeks, we'll be meeting with various stakeholders in various industries, the chamber, the tourism sector, the agricultural society, the credit union and cooperative movement, the Tobago young people, and a number of other stakeholders. So this is the process that we employ to ensure that we are consulting with the people of Tobago and we are consulting with the main stakeholders as we formulate and outline our budget process. So in the month of June, announcements will be made with respect to the upcoming budget. As many persons would be aware at this time that last week, the Division of Finance and the Tobago House of Assembly welcomed the confirmation of its position that the Tobago House of Assembly was legally entitled to enter into bolt arrangements. And we are glad that the courts, they have announced that the Assembly is within the law to decide and to enter into bold type arrangements. And you may recall also that based on the advice and our technical team, the Tobago House of Assembly via Executive Council Minute 887 of November 13, 2013, approved a policy document towards a public-private partnership policy for an accelerated public sector investment program in Tobago. And that document identified the use of the public-private partnership model as a funding mechanism to address the perennial shortfalls in budgetary allocation to the Tobago House of Assembly under the PSIP program. The PPP model having been adopted by the division and the Assembly, and the division was tasked with the responsibility to develop plans for the establishment of a public-private partnership unit within the division and to initiate the startup of the Tobago Development Authority as a mechanism to facilitate the implementation of projects already identified. And in execution of this mandate of the Executive Council, the Tobago House of Assembly sent a team to attend a training program on managing social infrastructure public-private partnerships, which was held during the period February 3rd to the 7th, 2014. You may all also recall that based on the recommendation of the Chief Secretary, I attended the conference and I was accompanied by Mr. Dion Isaac, Secretary for Settlements and Labor, and an economist in the Division of Finance, Mr. Carlos Hazel. What we took to the conference was our unique experience as a subnational government treating with the implementation of infrastructure projects against national spending constraints. The conference identified that the Assembly, through the Division of Finance, needs to put in place mechanisms to facilitate greater efficiency as we embark on this new model and in satisfying the Comprehensive Economic Development Plan for Tobago. The next step towards implementing a PPP model for Tobago is the rollout of a public-private partnership policy framework and the establishment of a public-private partnership unit within the Division of Finance and Enterprise Development. The policy will also address the recommendation, including those relating to procurement processes made by the judge in the recent court matter. This policy document, which we will unveil in the upcoming months, will see the Assembly's implementation of the PPP model and will take into consideration the following issues. Our definition as to what we consider PPP projects, the scope of public-private partnership projects, especially in relation to size and duration, priority areas for implementation of public-private partnership projects, the objectives of the public-private partnership projects, especially in relation to the CDP, principles governing PPP agreements, procedures for procurement and the management of the P3 projects, a policy on risk allocation, monitoring and evaluation. This policy document will outline the parameters under which the P3 model should be employed and also set the legal and administrative framework for the operation of the model. In anticipation of last week's ruling, much work has already been done in this regard, and the Division of Finance and Enterprise Development will be presenting a formal policy document to the Executive Council after consultation with the relevant stakeholders.
Could we get a confirmation on the Scarborough Library opening and also the completion of Shaw Park? How soon?
Well, I would leave the completion dates for the relevant secretaries, i.e. the Secretary of Infrastructure with respect to Shaw Park and also Secretary Huey Cadet with respect to the library. But just to update persons, the Chief Secretary together with a delegation from the Executive Council, we undertook a site visit to Shaw Park. I think it was on Monday, it was on Monday last. And work is well underway, and hopefully in the probably next couple or so months, the Secretary will announce a date.
Dealing with the fish and quality control programs that you were talking about, it's been noticed or observed around the island that with the facilities that you all have constructed, there's seemed to be some difficulty in getting the fishermen to actually utilize the facility.
What the department would have done, recognizing the issue, we are in the process of engaging what we call facility managers, that someone will be at the facility to make the necessary recommendation as to the timing on the opening and closing of the facility to accommodate the fisher folks. Because presently what we have there, the employees that are there, basically they work from 8 to 4. And we know that fish is not an 8 to 4 business. So that is one of the challenges that we are working on. We are working feverishly on it. So very, very soon you will see that the fisher folks will be in the facility because there will be someone there to accommodate them.
Moving on to the logging in the Great Dog River area. What defines the boundaries of which persons can actually do, as you said, the legal logging? Okay.
What defines the boundary up there in this particular area is that there you have the state lands, you also have the rainforest area, and also you have some privately owned land within that region. Where the logging is taking place, it is within the privately owned land. So I also, even as I asked for an investigation into that matter, I also asked the officers to ensure that the boundaries are not penetrated and logs cut in from the state land. So this is something the officers are looking into, and one of the criteria for logging, when you're requesting permission to do your logging, you must come with the necessary documentation in your application indicating that you are the owner of the land and you know the whole process that's involved. So that was done. It was already checked out by members of the department, and everything seems to be legal in that area so far.
Who is ensuring and monitoring that they don't go beyond the reaches, and how often will this enforcement be available to protect the forest? Because it's not just about the logging. The river has been decimated. The track and the wildlife has also been jeopardized.
Okay, the Department of Natural Resource and the Environment, also in that division you also have the Forestry Department. They have a cadre of officers and they are responsible for the daily patrols and taking the necessary notes as to their findings on their patrols on a daily basis. So the Department of Agriculture, Marine Affairs, Marketing and the Environment has that direct responsibility.
You mentioned the budget survey ending the 13th of May. Just wondering exactly how the survey is being conducted. Is it door-to-door? Is it via online? How
The survey
exactly?
is being conducted via telephone, and it was over a 11-day period.
How many persons were interviewed?
The target was 1,200 persons. A fairly very large sample size, really to ensure that the results are accurate and that we could really have some analysis on the findings.
There's going to be a new unit set up for public-private partnerships. This unit you identify several things, like it's going to deal with objectives, procedures, risk allocation, et cetera, Is it going to deal with the Central Tenders Board as well, which is one of the requirements identified by the ruling, or in the ruling rather?
Well, yes, I spoke to procurement, and procurement will be addressed by the policy and the unit. And the ruling also pointed to the need for procurement, and as I mentioned before, that was something that we took into consideration.
So is it safe to say that the THA will be using the Central Tenders Board?
Well, if you look at the ruling in detail, what the learned judge outlined is, in addition to the Central Tenders Board, other state entities whereby we could where it is your procurement and procuring goods and services should be undertaken. So yes, the Assembly has used the CTB before, and we have no objections using the Central Tenders Board.
Thank you for tuning in to another Tobago House of Assembly's Post-Executive Council media briefing for the week ending May 17th, 2014.